Hey there, welcome to Ben's Eco Adventure and welcome to Kenny Kent Chevrolet in Evansville, Indiana. We're here to talk about dealership charging, the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's get into it. So I'm charging the Bolt today here at this dealership, and what I wanted to talk about is what's the purpose of dealership charging and why sometimes you still really need it. Let's talk about the good things with dealership charging. I think one of the most important things is just that it's here. So around Evansville, there is no EVgo, there's no Electrify America, there's basically no publicly available charging as of right now in 2024 where I can take my car and charge up. So if I want to come here, I have to find alternate options, and right now the GM dealerships are really the best option here. Another good thing about dealerships sometimes, and this does vary, is the price. This Blink charger right here is 4 cents a minute with a $1 connection fee. Now, even with the Bolt's relatively slow charging, that still works out to an effective per kilowatt hour rate of somewhere around 10 to 15 cents. So this is really cheap charging, and I think that's great. I don't know why you would turn that down. And I think the last good thing to mention about dealership charging is also potentially amenities. Some dealers are very well located when it comes to amenities. The other dealer here in Evansville is actually right by a burger joint. So you can plug in, walk maybe 50 steps, and be at a nice restaurant where you can sit down and enjoy a meal. At most dealers, when they're open, you can go inside, you can use their lounge, you can use their restrooms. So this is better than a lot of charging stops out there where it just might be a charger in the middle of a parking lot somewhere. Dealerships are usually fairly safe. They have good lighting, they have cameras. Sometimes they'll even have roving security. So there's some things to recommend charging at dealerships. Of course, we also have to talk about the potential bad aspects of charging in dealerships. And I think the biggest one is that each dealership in the United States is independently owned and operated. So even though it says Chevrolet on the sign, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a consistent experience everywhere. On this trip that I'm on right now, I had that problem. I went into another GM dealer, which I'm not going to name, but they have a fast charger, and I went in and I asked them to use it. I asked how much it cost, and their response was, well, we're just not set up for public charging. And I said, I'm willing to give you money, and you have the ability to charge my car. So are you refusing service? I made them a little nervous, but it is their right, I suppose, to do that. And this is where PlugShare really comes in handy, because you can tell the good dealers from the bad. The good dealers will usually have 10, and the other dealer here in Evansville has a really good PlugShare score. So definitely rely on PlugShare if you're going to charge at a dealer. Another downside is going to be price. While this charger right here is incredibly cheap, relatively speaking, I've seen dealers charge as much as like $1, $2, even $3 per kilowatt hour, probably just as a way to tell people to go away. And certainly I'm not willing to pay that kind of money except in an emergency, but maybe that's what they're hoping for. Just like with selling cars, dealers are free to set their own price for charging, so it can be anywhere from free to just absolutely ridiculous. So we talked about amenities as being a potential good thing about dealerships, but it can also be a bad thing. If the dealership's closed and there's nothing else around, you might just be sitting in your car while you wait for it to charge. And I think the last big downside for some cars, but not my car, is going to be charging speed. Most dealers don't have the super high power 200 or 300 kilowatt DC fast chargers. Those are really expensive to install and not really necessary for this kind of application. So if you have a car that's capable of charging at 250 or 300 kilowatt, a dealership probably isn't going to be your first choice because you can get a better charge at one of the other public networks. Final thoughts on dealership charging. I think it's important that when you're looking for charging when you're on the road that you don't exclude dealers, because it could be the difference between thinking you can make a trip and not. I feel like my car should go wherever I want it to go. I don't want my car to be a limiting factor, and you shouldn't either. That's just not realistic for EVs. So if you can find a good dealership like this with decent charging, decent price, and perhaps some amenities, I would say go for it. If this is your first time here at Ben's Eco Adventure, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel. It really helps out. And if you give this video a like, it'll help recommend it to other people. Thanks for watching.